Welcome to a special bowl edition of the Husker Fans in Montana podcast. I'm Ricky J here with BB.
Hey, Ricky.
And Karl.
Hello, gentlemen.
And Jeff in Omaha.
What's
up, fellas?
Hey, guys. It's good to see you. Pretty exciting that it's a bowl game.
Bowl edition.
Yeah, this is new for us.
Yeah.
Been a while since the team went bowling. Karl, let's start us off with some whiskey. What do we got?
We have Russel's Reserve 10-year. This is a product of Wild Turkey. It's a nice little. It's a nice mid-priced
Did
bourbon.
not break the bank. Yeah,
No. That's
very
what's nice.
affordable.
Has some good, nice cinnamon notes to it. A little bit of caramel and cherry too. But then has a nice rye finish to it, and it's got some spice, a little bit of spice to it. Definitely tastes a little bit better when with water, kind of to smooth it out. But yeah, it's not a bad little bourbon.
That's good. I just had my first taste of it. It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
No.
Yeah. And, just about every bourbon we've had does a little better with an ice cube or two.
Yeah.
Let it set, melt down. I'm learning that from the guru here himself. And, really
It's
does.
personal taste. If you were really schooled on it, if you really had it down, you'd use those cold blocks that I have.
Right.
And then you would know exactly what you'd say, okay, I'm putting in this much water.
I see.
And then it would cool it, but the amount of water would never change. You'd get it to the exact level that you preferred it.
When I was in high school with my
work on that.
McNaughton, we'd usually just pour it into Coke or whatever we had.
Yeah,
So
styrofoam cup.
Yeah.
But
Or straight out of the bottle.
your old crow, you just put right into a styrofoam cup.
Yeah.
You knew you had a good girl when she could drink right out of the bottle, too.
And
Yukon Jack.
Oh, God. Southern Comfort.
What are you chasing that with, Brian?
I've got, from our official beer sponsor, I've got an H2O Hard Seltzer.
Awesome.
And for the beer fans out there that can't have beer necessarily, or be for one reason or another, or it's just a very wonderful light alternative. So
It is.
Highly
love
recommend it.
I don't like it. I love it.
It's good. It's really good.
It is good. Well, hey, Jeff, you've probably heard some of this news. I want to start us off with a little more of a sad note. Jack Hoffman is the news fighting cancer again. He's come back.
Yeah, pretty bad. It sounds like in his spine, and it doesn't sound good. But he's, family says he's fighting, so we just pray for him.
Yeah, and you guys don't know, but Jack Hoffman was and he's the inspiration behind the Team Jack Foundation. It helps fight pediatric cancer. And he developed a close relationship with Rex Burkhead back in the day when he was like 6 years old. He was fighting brain cancer. And so it led to kind of this kind of heartwarming TD run. I'm going to throw it up here so we can all see it. Go to full screen so we can enjoy it. Somewhere there's a full screen there. Let's play.
I think we've all seen this at one point.
He's wearing the number 22, guys.
It is Jack Hoffman of Team Jack coming out on the field right now in this 4th down and short.
For the red team.
Jack Hoffman has been adopted really by this football team. A young man who has battled brain cancer is on the field right now for the Huskers.
One more snap for Taylor Martinez, too, who will hand it off to Jack.
Good thing Taylor probably threw an interception.
So Taylor gets the shotgun snap.
I think I saw movement on the line. Finally, some blocking.
Yeah, that's good blocking.
There he
Jack is
goes.
running to midfield. Listen to this crowd as Jack Hoffman, a young man that, as I mentioned, has really been adopted by this football team, just scored a touchdown.
Oh, wow. What a moment.
And both benches empty.
That was a moment right there. Wow. Goosebumps.
Yeah, pretty.
How old is he now?
Well, he's in high school, or I'm sorry, in college now. Unfortunately, his father died from brain cancer about 3 years ago,
Geez.
and he's now. I think they found 5 new tumors. God. Is that what you're hearing, Jeff? And yeah, it doesn't sound good. He's back home in Atkinson now, and I guess just hope and pray for a speedy recovery for him that he can beat it again. But
let me just point out, if I can, and playing off this, that's what Nebraska football should be all about.
Yeah.
And that's what It's bigger than the game. That's life. That's important. And that's the kind of character that Nebraska should be reflecting.
Yeah, that was a really special moment. I'd never seen anything like that before Nebraska did it at a spring game, and it was a pretty special surprise when I saw it. Pretty special moment, pretty heartwarming. But yeah, I hope. I mean, a sad part of the story is his dad died of brain cancer, and then but you thought, well, at least Jack has recovered, and then now he's having to battle it all again.
Sure.
So all the best to him. But on with the some Husker news. We'll battle head coach Bill O'Brien of the Boston College Eagles in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl in New York City at Yankee Stadium on December 28th at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on ABC. Nebraska played at the old Yankee Stadium in the 1962 Gotham Bowl, defeating Miami 36-34.
Carl, were you at that game? You might have been to
62.
You might have been.
You're older than I am,
Oh,
you dirtball.
yeah.
This was Nebraska's. You guys can stop beating each other up for just a second.
We just had that touching Jack moment.
Could we get through the news? This was Nebraska's first bowl game victory and led to years of consecutive bowl game appearances through 2016. A win will hopefully usher in another era of consecutive bowl appearances and national playoff spots. Nebraska hires Terry Braden, seems like a lifetime ago now, as DL coach. Came for the Chiefs and he has a Florida connection. John Butler is the DC. Nebraska secondary. These aren't quite done yet. I don't know for sure. Phil Snow is assistant head coach. He's been a consultant for a long time and a long-time coach with Matt Rhule. And kind of I listed on here the goals that we talked about for Nebraska football for 2024 was to beat CU. We did that. And to go bowling. We did that.
Okay.
So I think, we can look at that and say we at least accomplished what we call them, the baseline objectives of the day.
It's kind of sad though. Last night saw that Nebraska's women lost to Penn State in volleyball.
Yeah.
That
doesn't happen very often.
No.
I think they were 3 points away from putting it away in the fourth, and it was a rough ending.
Yeah. But at least they were in the championship. They were fighting for it.
That's true.
Yep.
So we got to be happy that we're in there fighting for it. How did that set back in Nebraska, Jeff?
It was rough. I mean, especially they were up 22-16 in the third and could have swept them and closed it out, and lost the third, lost the fourth, and then gave up a tough fifth set. So I think everybody's bummed because I think this year we really had an outstanding year. Really thought the girls were poised to at least get to that championship game, and it would have been cool because the Louisville coach is a ex-Nebraska girl, so it would have been kind of cool for Nebraska to play in the championship against her, but no such luck.
Well, dang it. There's always next year.
Always next year.
Yeah.
Keep hope alive.
I love that about you, Brian. Just keep that hope alive. All right. Well, let's take a look at Nebraska's bowl history. Got a little page here for us. I get a little larger, but you can see, 41 played in the Rose Bowl, 55 in the Orange, and then Nebraska's first win, which we'll see, was in the Gotham Bowl against Miami, 36-34.
Very impressive.
Yeah. And so we've got a little
You're kidding me.
a little video.
You got a little something from
Video from back in the day.
Do they have video
Really?
back there?
Black and
Yeah.
white?
God,
Chisel.
black and white. Yeah, chisel.
I want you
Someone
gentlemen to sit back
carve it out of stone. What I mean,
Here
and
we go.
enjoy. A little over 5 minutes.
Check this
First
out.
period action now, and the Cornhuskers are on the move. Halfback
They
Willie
got-
Ross speeds into the clear.
they got a
on the brilliant
fullback in there,
44-yard
thank
burst to
goodness.
The enemy one.
Back in the
Dave
winning
Schultz
days.
saves a touchdown for Miami.
snow.
Fullback Bill Thunder Thornton barrels into pay dirt.
Yeah, I guess
for
the weather's
Nebraska,
supposed to be
and the
nice
Crimson
for
and Cream
the game.
lead 6-0 over Miami.
Thunder Thornton. There's a football
Later in
name.
the period, the Hurricanes drive 46 yards, and here's the clincher. George Myra fires a bullet to
George
Captain
Myra.
Ben Rizzo, and the score is tied at 6 at the end of the first quarter. The white-jerseyed Miami 11 continues to roll. Myra hits Nick Ryder for a 10-yard gain that carries over midfield. The slow motion camera pinpoints the precision pass.
Slow motion. That was
There we
like,
go.
hey,
That's
check it
pretty
out.
cool, right?
Jim Simon, and Jim gives it that little.
I'm thinking, what, face masks were about 3 years old at this point?
Pretty much.
What's that, Jeff?
From the Nebraska 30,
Yeah.
And George Myra, isn't that the guy who became the general manager of the Giants?
Oh, probably.
Touchdown. Miami leads now 12-6.
I used to love to watch Namath with the jump pass, if you can remember watching that in the Alabama days.
And the kicker with the straight-on approach.
Oh, yeah.
No soccer approach.
Finds daylight and turns on the speed. Ross covers 92 yards on this thrilling touchdown run. That ties the score at 12.
There we go. I was going to say it may be the last time we've run one back. Is 60 to.
The conversion gives Nebraska a 13-12 lead, but Miami's George Myra rallies his Hurricane forces. Bill Sparks makes the connection, and he rolls all the way to the 2-yard line. Fullback Nick Ryder takes a dive, and it's good for 6 points. A 2-point conversion makes the tally 20-13 Miami. Little time remains in the first half as Nebraska's Dennis Claridge takes charge. Speed merchant Dave Tyson latches on to complete
Steve
a
Merchant.
42-yard maneuver.
Speed merchant.
Speed merchant.
That's awesome. He had some lines.
Claridge keeps the Nebraskans on the move. He spots big Dick Callahan wide open.
Big
As
Dick.
the
Big Dick
Cornhuskers push the
Callahan.
Hurricane 6. Claridge and Mike Eager hook up on this play, and it's a Nebraska touchdown. The score at the end of the first half, Nebraska 20, Miami 20.
Can we see a replay on that one? Do they have the cone cam?
I don't think so.
Dennis Claridge fumbles the snap in the third period, and Dan Connors recovers for Miami at the Miami
Some things
42.
don't change. That was Sims? Was that
yeah,
Sims?
I was thinking the very same thing.
Hoping to take advantage. Jack Sims makes the
It was
happy
Sims.
grab
Seen
at the
it.
Nebraska
Look, this
7.
guy. His name is Sims.
Fullback John Bennett pushes into pay dirt, and with a successful conversion, Miami leads 27-20.
You looking at the officials?
Yeah.
That's
Dennis Stewart on this play. He takes a Claridge chuck and just refuses to go down. He's finally halted at the 3. Thunder Thornton bolts into the promised land, and Nebraska goes into.
We got to get a running back with that name again.
Thunder Thornton, man.
Or get this announcer.
Thunder.
I wonder if this guy's around
The Cornhuskers
someplace.
want more. Willie Ross spins and
With that
twists for 15 yards to the Miami 25.
Yeah, exactly. Lawrence Phillips. Yeah. You weren't talking about Lawrence Phillips.
Touchdown side. Score now.
Okay.
Nebraska 36, Miami 27. Miami must score now, and they look to Myra. George travels 17 yards on this brilliant effort that ends up
Good,
on the Nebraska
good
38.
question.
Lord, look at the cheerleading crew with the big megaphones and things.
Watch the bone-crushing
Look at this
power of
sweet
fullback
slow
Nick
motion
Ryder.
camera.
Nick simply runs right over Dave Tyson en route to a 26-yard advantage.
Bone crusher.
Bone crusher.
Could be a targeting.
Ryder is a battering dynamo. He charges to the Nebraska 4.
Battering dynamo.
Willie Ross brings
This
it
guy's
home.
got,
this
this guy's got all the
I
phases,
love
man.
this guy.
Ryder booms for a touchdown, but it's not enough.
He is a good announcer.
Nebraska
He
Cornhuskers
is,
shave the
yeah.
Miami Hurricanes 36-34.
Well, who knows? This
in a
was
great
probably
offensive
mostly
extravaganza.
on radio,
Nebraska wins its
so
first
he had
true
to
game in
add
history.
that color.
True, very true.
Yeah.
All right, so it is kind of interesting that Nebraska's first bowl game at Yankee Stadium ushered in a whole era of bowl game appearances and 5 national titles. So it's kind of interesting that,
Well, it's
maybe
almost guaranteed that's where we're headed.
yeah.
No, of course.
So, and we talked about Yankee Stadium and what it might look like if we went, and we've all kind of decided not to go. But that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like set up for football. So the 50-yard line tickets, not the best,
no.
because you're quite a ways out. But there's some decent seats, I guess.
Yeah, if you can get on the 10-yard
10 or 15,
Yeah,
you're in good shape.
You're pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, that gives the thousands of viewers an idea of what it looks like and what they can expect when
the cheerleaders will have extra room.
Yeah.
Plenty of room for Little Red.
Cartwheels. Yeah, Little Red.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they allow him in New York.
No, I think there's some laws against that.
Then you have some warrants.
Well, you can't.
What's that?
It's a blue state. He can go all day.
Yeah, but I don't think his probation officer allows him to leave
He's
the state
not allowed
of Nebraska.
to leave. That's exactly. His ankle bracelet starts going off.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but I did put together a Nebraska versus Boston College simulation, and I had to pick the Music City Bowl, unfortunately, because the Pinstripe Bowl was not in the game.
Oh.
But the Nebraska team won 28, Boston College 10. But
I did watch. How do you even know? I mean, like today we're going to make our predictions. The team isn't even the same team.
that's a perfect segue into sort of, before we get deep into the rest of it, kind of what I wanted to talk about. And that's, it used to be the bowl game was like the pinnacle of your season. Everyone was jacked, and the news you heard was all about the bowl game. And then now it's like the bowl game is really an afterthought. It's your first game really of the next season, but not with all your players that you're going to have next season, because you're bringing more in, and all of the news is about who you're trying to get and who's agreed to come out of the portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I think they need to change the rule. I think the portal. I don't think the portal should be open until after the national championship game.
100% agree.
I wish they would do that. And I understand what they would have to do is then give those student athletes like a pass that they wouldn't have to go to college courses until the next semester.
Sure.
Like just give them a,
and that could be done.
Because this is ridiculous. With, I don't know, Jeff, have you caught much news around there? And it just seems like it's all about who's signing, who's visiting, who's coming out of the portal versus, I haven't heard almost nothing on the game.
No, I agree. So they talk way more about the portal and stuff. I think if they just cut out this time, like, okay, you had your championship games and then the playoff was the next week. I mean, sorry, that's what we do all year long, is play one game and then turn around the next week. So those top 4 teams could still get a bye. And then, because they won their team, their conference, so they played that week, they get a week off. The other one's got to battle it in just like they do in the NFL, and then start there rather than making it go so late till it's almost February now. And these kids, if you're transferring, you have to register for school, so it really screws things up. Like, I mean, what's a kid supposed to do that's on one of these playoff teams? You're probably going to leave because you're not going to get the playing time next year, but your team's freaking going for a national championship.
Well, have you seen many of those players opt out or go into the, and if you do put your name in the portal, you can still play in the game.
Right.
I know that.
I've heard a couple of those.
I've heard rumors, and I don't know that the team has been announced, but I've seen several things on Twitter that one of the 4 with the bye week is paying NIL money to their players to stay throughout the playoff.
Wow.
So, and then what?
Yes.
Then they leave anyway.
They might.
I don't think the rules were very well thought out. You get a court decision here and there, and I don't think maybe 10 years from now this will all be hashed out and figured out. But I don't think this is a workable situation.
No, they should open it up after. And you're right, Jeff. You make sure those they end in the first week of January or whatever. I'll pull it up. Maybe we'll jump ahead and we'll look at that now. But get your playoff done, and then after the playoffs, like the day after the playoffs or your final game, your championship game, then open the portal. And anyone that shows up at the university through that, just don't make them register for courses that they're part of your university. They're in the system. They can go to their sport, but their football, but they're not required to take classes because it's too late then.
Yeah, I'm sure with a little creativity and enough lawyers, I'm sure you could come up with something that would be workable.
Yeah,
So,
an online makeup course or something.
well,
or,
let's face it. How many of these kids even show up in class? I can tell you from my personal experience, most of it's online to begin with.
yeah.
I mean, when COVID came and everybody was able to do classes online, that never went away. So there's a lot of players who have few, if any, in-person classes. It seems.
Then you have Bobby Houck and the Grizz, who just picked up a USC quarterback,
right?
Who's like 27 years old, BYU, Mormon mission. I think he came through the portal because his kids are starting college now, and he wants to play with his kids.
It's a two for one scholarship. Well, and how about the junior college court decision? That
that kid from Vandy. He's
Well, that may be a big thing that's going to happen, because if that doesn't even count toward your eligibility, you go JUCO for 2 years, then pretty soon you're a 21, 22-year-old playing against 18, 19-year-olds, and then you can redshirt. I mean, hell, you could play till you're 27 years old.
Well, and it would make, with money in college football now, that would kind of make.
Right. And Texas is the one that I hear most about, because that Quinn Ewers hasn't decided if he's going to throw his name in to the NFL, which I don't think he'll do, because he struggled a little bit this year. Well, then you have that Arch Manning. So one of the two may get screwed, because if Quinn's going to stay and they say, well, yeah, but Arch is going to be our quarterback, he may not have time to get out of town. If they go all the way to the championship game or something. And then if he does stay and they say, yeah, we're going to stay with Quinn, well, then Arch Manning is screwed out of getting into the portal too.
Manning.
No.
They don't want to lose Manning.
It'll open back up in May again, right? I think it's May. There'll be another portal. Yeah, so he could announce that he'll go in May, and obviously none of them are graduated, whatever they call them. They can go in anytime.
I just think, as you're talking about that, it's bringing back memories here, but I think that April, May, that needs to be when open that up through June or something. I know, July 1st, I think, is the closing on all of it.
Just give it a one.
Give it a
well,
one.
It'd be nice to get them, though, in the bulk of them in for your spring.
But it'd also be nice to let these programs finish out the year in which they had committed.
Right. So that's what I'm just saying.
Every
do that,
school
and then open them mid-January.
Yeah, mid-January, February, and that's it. Don't have the May, June, and don't have this December one.
Just have
get all the bowl games out of the way. They can still do spring ball.
What's the thought behind the one in May? Anyone know?
Graduation. I mean, are they going to graduate from college? I don't know.
After the spring game, if you're not going to be there, then you can bail.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Well, I'd be okay if they did a short one still in May, but I think you're going to get a lot fewer people. But do your longer one sometime in January, and then give those kids, those young men, a pass on having to register that semester.
Why not? And why not have it like the week after National Signing Day in February? The final sign, because then if they brought in a hot quarterback, and you're probably going to be sitting, then okay, they just signed this kid, I might as well go somewhere else. Why not have it out in February? That makes sense. It's not interfering with the bowl game. It's not you can still do spring drills or spring practice, and you kind of know where you are as far as the recruiting class. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
My point is, I think it could be figured out.
What's that, Jeff?
Like in 10 years, what are we going to have? Like, will college sports or football even exist? Because like you're going to have the profit sharing now. So now they're talking about like, how do you work all that? Like in the NFL, you have a contract, you have a collective bargaining. But like now when they do the profit sharing, now they're talking about it. Then a kid has to sign a contract to get the profit sharing. So now they're into a contract, but now this kid sucks. And how do you dump them? Like, how does the college then get out of the contract? How does the kid get out of the contract? Like, I think I think it's just, I don't know, see where it goes, where it's just not an entity of its own of some sort. Like,
turns into like a minor league baseball situation.
Yeah,
we got minor league football.
Maybe the universities are affiliated with an NFL team in the area.
I don't know where it's headed either, Jeff, but I don't think this is sustainable the way it is at the moment.
Well, the balance of power has swung to the athlete, and because it's just basically total free agency with, again, like you said, no contracts, and they'll have to come up with something maybe shorter because it's a 4 or 5 year cycle is what it should be, not a 7 to 10 year cycle, which we've seen.
Yeah.
So I could see them beginning to say, hey, I mean, there's nothing to say your NIL group couldn't say, we'll pay you NIL money, but
you're staying.
But you have to sign the university's contract or you don't get any of our NIL money. And I do see confusion even in national radio hosts that there's sometimes they think the NIL, they get it confused with the revenue sharing that should be coming as long as that case goes through, which everyone believes it will. But that's two totally separate things. You can have both. Your university now has a pot of money which they can give out, but you still have your NIL.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, some guys here brought it up, and I think I'm kind of in that boat myself. But they brought it up how slippery of a slope it is because you're going to start having fans that are just kind of get fed up with it, because looking at a kid that's making. What does Sanders make? $7 million or something. But like around here, that 1890 initiative is always advertising, for people to donate for the NIL. Well, I am not going to give my money that I'm out here busting my ass for to give it to some collective so they can give it to some 19-year-old kid so he can make more money than what I'm making and drive around with his gold chains and shit like that to go and put a put a product out on the field that I can't even hardly stand to watch. On top of the costs keep going up, I can't even hardly take my kids to a college game now, let alone an NFL game. So
on your bowl game and takes off for somewhere else.
You're making me feel uncomfortable about my $10,000 donation I just made.
Well, how about
maybe it should be NIL deals should be performance based.
Well, there's that. It's an idea too. I can't remember the athlete's name, but the school was Texas Tech, and there was a leaked letter that were his demands. And I don't know, have you seen this?
Oh yeah, I know I have.
This kid gets I think $750,000 was a guarantee, kind of like just a payment up front to open negotiations, and then he had 3, I believe, Escalades for the family. And then one for himself with a driver full time. And then it goes on and on and on and on. So, I mean, this is getting like
no wonder
insane.
Reggie Bush is suing because he got basically lost his Heisman and everything else for
over a
something just like that.
Yeah.
I don't know about having a driver for his dad and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, that's.
Well, it's a little crazy, and it does detract from the pure game of football. They should make some money. And I think, again, the power swung too far in favor of the athlete, and the universities are going to have to get some control. And I think you're right, Jeff, that the way they get control is through contracts.
Yeah.
I might just boycott football. Starting right now with the show.
You never will. You never will, Karl.
Where are you going to go?
Basketball. Come on. You tell lies. All right. Well, again, it does get less exciting to begin to look at teams and stuff. But here is, we're playing a team called Boston College, the Eagles.
The Eagles.
And so
Doug Flutie land.
This is their, what are they, 7-5? Where I counted them up once. But so they have, they beat Florida State. Ooh. You could look at their Michigan State. They lost to Virginia Tech. Louisville had a little run of losses. They
lost to quality teams.
Yes.
Yeah, they're coming off 2 wins, North Carolina and Pittsburgh.
They played SMU tough.
They played SMU, but they lost to SMU. They lost to Louisville, but Virginia Tech. Tough. I mean,
it looks like Missouri. They've, they tend to always score at least, well, except with Virginia, but they score 20 or more points. So,
they seem to do a number on
that Duquesne, whatever, 56 to nothing. Because they're like a.
Is that a junior college?
I think they're 1AA. I think they're FCS.
Really?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So any other before I take that down? Anything else?
At
No,
Missouri was a good game.
Yeah, it was. But Missouri was a good at that time.
No, I
Missouri
mean, they
was
were
a ranked SEC
good
team.
quality teams. SMU is good.
Virginia Tech, Virginia, SMU. I mean,
can I just point out that Nebraska is capable of losing to anyone? And
Yes, you may.
okay, and almost capable of beating anyone.
Yeah,
it would seem. Yes. So.
Jeff, any comments on their schedule?
I mean, I think it'll be a pretty good matchup myself. I mean, if you look at like what they did, what we did, it's about mirrored image, I think. They got a good head coach, so
yeah, NFL style coach. I mean,
Looking at their stats, I got 3 more pages of their stats here, but one thing that jumped out to me is their rushing versus pass attempts, and they're 503 rushing attempts, 289 pass attempts. And so while you're right, we don't really know the makeup of our own team, we don't really know the makeup of their team per se, and a lot of people aren't talking about it. But I don't think their balance is going to change. So they're going to be primarily a running team, which we're going to have to stop. Anything else jump out on that? Do you guys?
no. Luckily, we have a good defensive line.
Right. We should match up special teams fairly well, hopefully, with them.
Yeah, and they're scoring 351, outscoring their opponents to 289. Their rushing yardage is 2,112 yards to holding their opponents to 1,363. The passing, they fall a little short of their opponents, 2,290 to 2,963. Yeah. So total offense is just, a little less than 100 yards over their opponent. So, but primarily they are a rushing team.
Take a look at the difference in average punt per punt there. I mean, the special teams might come into play here. Their opponents have a much higher.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, hopefully we'll have a good special teams outing.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys around here are talking about them that they don't do very well at getting it past the opponent's 40, but once they do, they pretty much score. They're like one of the top, I think in the top 2 or top 5 in the nation of once they break the 40-yard line that they're going to score.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can see here the leading rushers, and that dude Kyle is the one to stop with 736 yards versus the next closest 406.
Right.
And I'm not sure they had switched out quarterbacks in game 3, so I can't remember which one.
If I remember right,
to.
This quarterback just entered the portal and was going to Florida State.
I can't remember if that was their original starting quarterback or if that's the one that started the last 3 games. Because they made a switch.
Their starting quarterback, and then he just entered the portal. I know that, and he signed with Florida State, I think.
So,
at Castellanos?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see the interceptions, kick returns, fumbles recovered. Well,
I agree with Jeff. It should be a good matchup. I think the Bowl people did well putting these 2 teams against each other. Not somebody they'll face. It's not like they have a lot of experience facing off against each other. I'm not sure. Have we ever faced Boston College? We had a game against them. If not many. So
no.
This will be a good challenge.
No, that's a good one to have.
And you see the running back is the guy to stop. Again, he's their top scorer.
Who's our running back?
Well,
he hasn't entered the portal yet.
One did and came back. Johnson left and came back home, and Dowdell's gone. And
again, the defensive coordinator stopped Kyle. Focus on that dude. Stop the running back. He's clearly their all-purpose rushing leader.
And especially if they have a different quarterback now. That's definitely want to shut down the run.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to I put together a little compilation. Before I go to that, does anyone have any comments based on the stats that we saw? Jeff, anything?
No, but it is the first ever matchup between these 2 teams.
Oh, awesome. Good. Little fact check in there.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, anything further on those? All right, let's jump in. We'll just listen to I didn't find anything from Rhule really that was recent, but here's the I think it was 2 days ago now, the OC and DC.
Hey, Dana, what can you say about this Boston College defense, what you've seen of them, and what challenges they're going to present you?
Yeah, they're a good football team now. I got to know Bill O'Brien when he was at the Texans down in Houston, and followed his career, and he's a dang good football coach, and then taking over for Coach Hafley, which is a defensive guy, right? And so they do a great job defensively. I mean, their front seven is experienced, old, active, deep. I mean, they play three deep and all that stuff, right? They play a lot of man coverage. Their secondary is always in the right spots. Their the turnover thing is concerning. It's why we lost the Iowa game, and so we got to make sure that we're focusing on that. They're a good football team, well coached. Got a lot of respect for what they do, and then I'm telling you, it's going to be a challenge for us defensively. We knew it would be going into the Iowa game. This is very similar because they're just stingy on defense, and we got to take care of the ball. We got to score in the red zone, and they're good on third downs too. So when third downs are there, we got to do our best. It's going to be a big challenge for our offense going against what's a great defense.
Thanks, Coach. We got one final question from Sam McEwen.
Hey, Dana, I've seen Dylan Rhule progress over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and what do you like about his game? What more have you learned about him as a player just in the bowl prep camps?
Yeah, just his intelligence, it never ceases to amaze me. I sit in those quarterback meetings, and Coach Thomas is an incredible quarterback coach and very smart, and drills them on protections and coverages, and Dylan's always got the right answer. I've never been around a freshman quarterback that has those answers. I've been around, freshmen in general that are playing at a high level, but not to the point to where they understand those questions. So I think the thing that stands out to me is just his football intelligence. You can tell, you can tell that Dad and Uncle Donnie, Dominic and Donnie were probably putting that kid in a film room and showing him a bunch of video when the kid was like 10 or whatever it was. So it's amazing, and it's been fun to kind of see that side of him, in recruiting. I think he's at like every dinner when all these kids come in to, for the transfer portal visits. I think he's there most of the time because he understands the importance of getting guys in here that can help us win. But just a team guy, great guy to be around. Obviously talented and going to continue to get better.
I think you're pretty familiar with Boston College head coach Bill O'Brien. I'm just curious, what your thoughts are about facing him and that offense. And then their offensive coordinator used to be a GA for you. So I'm just curious, like what that experience is like, preparing for a team in an offense you probably know pretty well.
Yeah, I think that the world has a funny way of coming full circle. Obviously, I worked for Bill for 2 years at Penn State and 4 years at Houston. Very appreciative of all my time with Bill. I had a great relationship with him while I was there. Gave me a lot of responsibility and helped me develop as a coach. So, a lot of respect for not only what he did there in Houston, but as he's continued to go throughout his career and obviously what he's doing this year at BC. As far as Will's concerned, it's always cool to go, coach against familiar folks. I think he's doing a great job with that offense. Obviously, that offense right now looks a little different than the offense that they ran in Houston. But that's just a testament to the quality of the coaches they have in terms of, using their strengths, trying to maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. So, always used to have fun competing against Bill in practice, competing against the offensive coaches. Obviously, Bill's a fiery competitor. I think I am as well, and it'll be a great matchup for us to go back up against each other.
I wanted to ask a follow-up question about their quarterback. Obviously, he's just basically been their quarterback for the last 4 or 5 games. What did you see on tape of that guy, and how maybe has their offense changed once they switched to him?
I think what he is he knows where to go with the football. You can see he's got a decent feel for, what they want to do in the run game and how certain fronts and certain coverages may be impactful to what they're trying to do. And, I know Bill's always trying to make sure that his quarterback's prepared to, execute the run game as well as the pass game. And, he's I'm sure has a good understanding of that to be his quarterback, and the expectations that Bill's always had with the guys that are his trigger man. So, I think he's done a nice job of operating the offense, executing, and they've been pretty good on third down when he's been in there. He has some ability to move around with his legs, which is always a problem. Anytime you face a quarterback that can move around and extend the play or get first downs with his legs. So I think he's a nice young player that we're going to have to keep our eyes out for.
Hi, John. Just wanted to ask about Ty Robinson. In a time of players that opt out of bowl games, you have a 60-year leader who has potential to play at the next level. What does it say about Ty to want to participate and lead the defense in the Pinstripe Bowl?
I think it's a testament to Ty. It's a testament to really all of our, seniors that are there's a lot of those guys that are going to have chances to play in the NFL. And I think it's just a testament to the character of those men, but also the commitment that they have to this program. I think that's a legit deal. Obviously, my background over the last 10 years in the NFL, I was able to make a lot of contacts with not just coaches, but with general managers, assistant general managers, guys that have, and I can't tell you how many guys that have texted me, hey, are your guys playing? And once we're like, yeah, of course they're playing. The level of respect that those guys in that league have for the players that are continuing to battle and they want to finish this thing the right way. So, once those guys made the decision to do that, I told them, hey, let's make the best of it. We're going to make them we're going to help them play as well as they can to continue to improve their stock as their opportunities in football at the next level, come. But I think that's a huge thing, and obviously something that a lot of people aren't doing.
Hey, John, Dana was talking about just the portal and bowl practices and all the balancing that's kind of going on right now in terms of personnel trying to gear up for this game while also preparing yourself for the offseason. How are you kind of approaching the portal and roster management and, figuring out what you need to address through the portal while also identifying guys like you mentioned, a couple of linebackers that you want to kind of build for the future?
I think that's just like, see, the best way to articulate this is that this whole transfer portal balanced with bowl game is you've got to be light on your feet, man. I mean, you got to be like, you're in maybe in the middle of a game planning meeting and all of a sudden you got to jump out and you're having a 30-minute meeting with a prospect that's in on a visit, or you're jumping on a Zoom doing it, or you're watching 15 minutes of tape to make sure, hey, this guy just jumped in, he wants to visit us. So I think you got to be a fast thinker and a mover and a shaker, quite frankly. I mean, you got to be decisive, you got to be organized. You've got to really have a plan and a vision for what you're looking for, because everything happens so fast. You have a guy get in and get out, get in and get signed. It's just. And at the same time, you're also got to keep an eye on your roster constantly, because there's people reaching out. There's people reaching out to your players, whether it's through direct or it's people reaching out through a third party. And it's unfortunate in this environment. People said, hey, it's like NFL free agency. No, it's not. NFL free agency is regulated. So like you have to follow the kind of the procedure in the NFL. And at this level, so you got to be light on your feet and you got to keep your eye on the prize, which is getting ready for the bowl game against BC in one column. And then over here is maximizing the value and the opportunities to get your roster better, within a short window of time, while also managing your own. So it is, it's been fun, but it's been like a learning experience for me, obviously. But like I said, it's just, I think, something that everybody's trying to figure out it's not even a day-to-day basis, sometimes hour to hour.
Hey, John, what do you make of this Boston College offense? It seemed like they had a little juice with their new quarterback there the last month of the season. What are the challenges they present?
Yeah, I think they're balanced. I think that obviously the run game and the creativity of the run game is a strength for them. It's just a testament to, OB and Will, and obviously their offensive coaches and how creative they are in terms of, trying to attack you in the run game and the different things that they can present. They're just not lining up and blocking you, so to speak. And they're giving you a lot of eye candy, a lot of formations, a lot of motions, a lot of stuff that forces you as a coaching staff to prepare for. And then with that, they have a really, really dangerous play action game. Like any great NFL coach, it's, you're designed to run the football and then develop a play action game off of it. And you can see they clearly have that as part of their DNA and their philosophy. So it's going to be a huge challenge for us, one that we're going to have to play, really well collectively as a defense in order to answer the bell. But they've been putting up points and putting up yards, in recent ball games against good defenses and good competition. So we're going to have our hands full.
So based on that, I would say we are going up against their quarterback that was starting at the end of the season. And I don't know what happened with the other guy. I mean, I don't follow their team, so and I don't know why he entered the portal, but he was clearly the starter at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have any news on that or anything on their quarterback situation?
No, sorry, I don't.
Again, if it was bowls,
Thank you, Jeff, for that insightful, deep analysis.
You really add a level of
look at
depth
that face.
of
That's
expertise.
that's like a Buddha. That's a level of knowledge,
right?
You know, what I'm saying, if it was any
I'd
other,
have just made something up. At least make it look good.
I know you would have. You would have spewed shit. Yeah, same-o, fucking same-o. Yeah,
WikiLeaks.
Oh my god. No, any other bowl, and we'd be talking about the bowl ad nauseum and our opponent ad nauseum. Our professional talking heads, sports reporters would be giving us all this information, and they're more excited about the people coming through the portal and who we're recruiting. I mean, they're just giddy, some of them, about that. And to me, it's like, let's just let them figure it out, let them sign, and then come spring ball, we'll figure out what our team looks like. And, you know, I know they announced who our opponents were, and some shows were talking all about that, and I get it. To me, that's ridiculous. I don't want to worry about that until we're talking like coming out of spring camp, and then don't really have anything to talk about until that's when you address what our schedule looks like. And how do you know what those other teams are looking like? Didn't they learn their lesson? I'm hearing them go through there and go, well, this should be a win and this should be, man, if you didn't learn out of this year, look at Indiana. They're playing right now in the national championship, playoffs. And,
well, that should be an easy win for us. Remember?
Easy win. Oh yeah. But check that box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Signetti, first year head coach. What are you talking about?
Right.
He brought a bunch of people from what division? Yeah.
Yep.
Sad.
Now, I will say one thing that Butler was right about as he's talking there. You do have to be quick on your feet. This whole portal thing.
Yeah.
He's exactly right. It's changing from moment to moment. And the one thing I can speak to from personal experience is people aren't keeping up with it. A kid will announce he's going to into the transfer portal. And I mean, these coaches around the country, especially if it's a position maybe that they're weak at or somebody they've been looking at, it's not a matter of days that they're reaching out to that kid. I mean, the moment, and obviously they're all alluding to the fact that there's
true third parties that's happening prior.
But the moment that kid comes out of that meeting with the coach and he's put his name into the portal, if he's any good, he's got, I can tell you personal experience from my son, who was accused of, oh my God, he's, they've been recruiting. He had probably 8 offers that first day. I mean, he never talked about it, but Utah, Washington, SC, Wisconsin, there were schools calling him, and some of them repeatedly. Utah was calling him, FaceTime communications, every few minutes trying to get through to him. That's how this thing works. So if you're a good running back or a quarterback or something that goes into that portal, you're getting bombarded with offers immediately. And then they're following up, and and now with the big money being thrown around,
right?
So if you're going to be stubborn about it or old school, or by God, if you're going to be Bobby Houck, for example, you're going to miss out. You have to realize that the game changed, and you're going to have to change with it immediately, or you're going to fall behind.
Right, and it's going to continue to develop, and I hope it develops in a way which gets some control back.
I do too.
December should be about the bowl games and get this open season after, so this craziness doesn't continue.
It is craziness. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we have to make a prediction. So we have to pick a winner and a loser for the bowl game, and we have to pick a score. So I'm going to start with Karl, give you a moment to think about it. And maybe if you have any supporting thoughts,
drink, Karl.
If you have any supporting thoughts as to why you would pick the score you're going to give us, that would be wonderful for the thousands of listeners that depend on you for insight.
You guys are going to like this. I'm going 24-17 Boston College. And I think it's because of
Is it a Catholic thing?
No.
You sure?
This has to.
Well, I see that.
Beat America.
No, please.
That's Notre Dame.
Tell us why.
I think O'Brien's going to have a game plan. He's going to have he has, because of his NFL experience at Houston and with the Patriots, he's going to have multiple formations, multiple looks, and I think he's going to catch Nebraska off a little.
B.
Well, this is almost an impossible one to call, and Karl might very well be right because we've lost. I think we're in second place with the number of players who have left in the Big Ten. It's just who knows what the look's going to be. I mean, it's so hard to know who's going to show up, and coaching changes left and right. One thing we didn't talk about tonight is I just can't believe Foley isn't gone in the off season. I would hope it's going into the next year after the bowl game that we look at special teams too and make some changes there because it has to. The protections were bad. I'd like to think we come out on top by the same score. So I'm going to go 24-17. Good guys win it. And I think are we the home team?
That I do not know.
I think we're the home team.
Does it matter in New York?
It does because the Yankees win at home quite a lot. So if we're the home team, it's at least as scientific as any other attempt to predict.
How'd they do
this
against
game.
the Dodgers? Oh,
no, that didn't work out.
That didn't work out too well.
If we have a pinstripe, do we have a red and white pinstripe jersey? If we wore that,
there you go.
I guarantee we win.
Yes.
So I'm going to go with the good guys win 24-17, and that's based on absolutely nothing.
All right.
Very scientific.
No, absolutely no thoughts, nothing. So we're going to throw it to Jeff. What do you got for us?
We did get a punter, though, out of the portal from Washington.
Sure did. Good guy from Washington, a good punter, by the way. Very good punter.
He made a joke about it, about like how they were looking to fire him or whatever, and then he, with our kicker doing a little better toward the end of the year and then snagging this punter. This team is, who knows? Like, your thoughts are like, well, we should do this, we should do that, but we've said that all year long. I mean, the matchup, like I said, I think is good. I heard they run 61% of the time, and we had a good run defense. It's kind of funny. They get to the opponent's 40 and they score. We easily get into, but they struggle to get to the 40. We get to the 40 with no problem and then can't score. So it's, like I said, it's a ridiculously crazy matchup in that regard. But I'm going to stick with it with Nebraska. I want to end with a winning record, so I can't wish them into a losing record again. So I'm going to go 28-10 Huskers.
All right, gotcha. 28-10 Huskers. I echo a lot of what you guys have said. I think the change in the coaches, obviously the defensive coordinator leaving, unfortunately that also led to several defensive players leaving. And so that is, we don't know exactly how that's going to hurt the defense because we don't know who's waiting, who's next man up. The nice thing is our defensive line, the primary guys, they're intact. So, and they want to, I'm sure they want to win in a bowl game. It's the first bowl game they've been to. I think they're going to be playing out their minds versus maybe a super senior or whatever that's been to 3 or 4 or 5 bowl games already in their career, and they're solely focused on the NFL. I think, Nash and Ty are going to really want to play, and I think that's going to help us a lot to stop their running game. And with that running game stopped, I think they're going to have a really hard time throwing the ball on us if we have any semblance of some DBs back there or linebackers that can keep up and pass protect. So I have hope that our defense can still, even with all the losses, player losses, coaching losses, our defense can still stop them. Offense continues to be a work in progress. Thankfully, what was seemed to emerge as our number one running back has come back. He never went in the portal. He said he would go in the portal, but he came back to Nebraska. So we have that intact. And so I have hope that Nebraska will win this game. I'm going to say 28-24. It'll be close. And like in 1962 at the Gotham Bowl in Yankee Stadium, it is going to usher in decades of bowl games and continued success for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Jeez, this guy. What did that change from, what was it, like after Illinois? Like, yeah.
Doom and gloom, yeah, but not now. He's trying out.
Yeah, get on board the train.
He tried out for the new Herbie Husker. You're looking at him right here.
No, I want to be Little Red. I want to have a sign that says "Suck it, Brian."
Nobody wants to be Little Red. Come on, be honest.
I'll be like, if I had that poll, I would say you get box seats to a game if you spend one game as Little Red. All right, gents, any final thoughts before we'll take a look at the college football playoff bracket? Before we move to that, any final thoughts on this game or the Huskers and the coaching staff changes or anything? I'll start with Karl.
I have nothing.
All right.
No thoughts at all.
No,
so many changes.
So many changes.
So many changes.
Whiskey River, take my mind.
Yeah.
On balance, I gotta say, I think we're going to come out of this okay. Maybe I think we're probably going to come out of it a better team, I hope. On balance, we're losing some good players, but we're also bringing in, I will say, again, crystal ball looking forward, and who knows, I think we'll be more of a passing team, obviously. That's lining up, I think, for what the future holds for Nebraska football. But the future is still out there. It'll remain to be seen.
Jeff, thoughts?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, again, a person wants to have the warm fuzzy with the new coaches and like, okay, maybe we're getting some coaches with some cojones, but I guess it's just a wait and see. We'll cheer for them this bowl game. Let's come out of it and with the winning season finally, and then let's see what 2025 brings.
Yeah, here. Yeah, I guess under these rules, the way they are currently and where the portal open season is, I guess I'm happy that we did the coaching change now and the players are getting, it's basically like having your first spring training and that you're playing a real team. And then we'll get some new players and we'll get it finalized in spring camp, and then we'll probably get a couple new players in May. It's just, and then we'll totally get it finalized in fall camp. But I would prefer to see it where everything stays intact until your bowl game, and that's the culmination of your season. I think that would be a lot better.
Yeah, I think just about everyone who loves college football is in agreement.
That's got to change.
There's just way too much craziness right now. So I'm going to pull up, and hopefully, Jeff, you could see this, make this a little bigger. So right now we have Indiana and Notre Dame playing, and then tomorrow it looks like we have several games for the first round coming up. And the only thing I would say, or overall picture of this, I love seeing the smaller teams get in, like the Boise States. And we remember years that they didn't get in.
Sure.
Or the underdog, like in Arizona State, who was finished last.
But I think they will have to find a way to reorganize and re-rank them for this tournament, whether it's a 12-team or a 14-team tournament in the future. But
another nice story is think about SMU. I mean, how many programs come back from the death penalty from 30 years ago? To rebuild and be back up near the top.
Right. I know. Young people don't appreciate
they don't.
What happened to that program.
No.
They didn't call it the death penalty for nothing.
No.
I don't think anybody was ever expected to come back from what they did to that school after they brought it on themselves. The violations were egregious. However, that's quite remarkable.
I just, when you look at this, I mean, your 4 teams with the bye should be your top 4 teams. I mean, there's no way you could look at Boise State and say, oh, they're better than Texas or Clemson or probably Tennessee or Ohio State. Now, we'll see who they have to play, but if you just look at basically you're penalizing teams for playing in better conferences right now. So I think they're going to have to fix that. It's a small fix, but other than that.
I will say the one complaint I'm tired of hearing is from the SEC. Because there's not a one of those schools that doesn't schedule.
Well, Bama didn't get in. How can it be a playoff?
They schedule a late season
Mercer
AA school, and then want to lecture
Mercer.
the rest of us about a tough schedule. So bite me. Alabama deserves to be left off. You schedule Mercer late in the year.
Yeah,
screw you. You should
play 9 conference games.
I think it's going to be Oregon and Georgia, with Oregon winning.
Oregon's tough.
So you think in the championship you're going to see who?
Oregon and Georgia,
and
I think Oregon's going to win by a field goal.
Okay.
The thing of watching Oregon that for me, to me it doesn't even seem like they've unpacked all they got yet.
Oh, they're not even trying. It feels like there's a practice.
It does. It feels like, man, if they really shifted gears, you know, they'd really blow you out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're winning by, comfortably.
And Lanning is a heck of a coach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, I'm rooting for SMU, Boise State type stuff. I'd love to see SMU come back and win the whole damn thing, like you said, after the death penalty. I agree a little bit with, I don't know how I feel about the buys, if they should redo that, but I think second round, they shouldn't make a bracket like this and just follow this. They should do like the NFL, it's to be determined, who the higher seed is, lower seed, you know what I mean? Because if you actually look at it, and we all know how heavy the SEC plays with ESPN and how much money ESPN has vested in this, and none of us are naive enough to believe that they don't have some say. Look at Georgia.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Georgia, come on, they've stacked that SEC, side for Georgia to go. I mean, they got Boise State, SMU, and Penn State, Indiana, all. So realistically, and I don't even know how great Notre Dame is, but they got one challenge there. When you look at Oregon's side, you got Ohio State or Tennessee, you got Texas. Clemson's playing well. I don't know how great they are, but I don't know. It just seems like it's being manipulated to favor the SEC guys. I'm surprised Alabama didn't get in, even though they lost to Vanderbilt and friggin' Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was surprised that the Big Ten got 4 teams in versus Alabama getting in, but I don't think they could ignore Indiana.
You can't lose to Oklahoma as bad as Alabama did.
No,
and think you're going to get in there.
Yeah,
and Vanderbilt. You can't.
Yeah, you don't lose to Vanderbilt.
Right.
I just don't know.
Who was their third loss? It wasn't a great team.
Texas. Was it Texas? Or did they beat Texas?
I didn't think it was a great, because they beat Georgia.
Ole Miss, wasn't it?
Yes, Ole Miss beat them. Ole Miss beat them.
Right.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin had his revenge.
They damn near lost to Georgia.
They did.
They blew them out the first half, and then they came back.
The game that's going to be interesting tomorrow that I want to see is the Tennessee-Ohio State.
I was just going to say
because if Tennessee wins that, Ryan Day is out. I mean, you can't lose to Michigan 3 or 4 years in a row.
Right.
And you better compensate with a national championship. And that's not even a guarantee in that fan base. Man, you cannot lose to a subpar Michigan team.
Totally agree. I think Tennessee's got a shot.
They do. They are going to be playing in the horseshoe, and it's going to be cold. So, the Tennessee's quarterback is a Southern Cowboy.
I think Clemson's got a shot of beating Texas.
I agree, because Clemson is peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
Clemson's the reason why Boise State has a bye, because Clemson winning threw off the whole bracket thing, because the ACC would probably thought that they were going to have SMU in there with the automatic bid.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson coming in, which no one saw based on how they started the season. So
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It though. I mean, look at Oregon. You're the number 1 seed, only undefeated team in the thing, and you get a bye, and then you get to take on either Ohio State or Tennessee. You know, like Arizona gets Texas or Clemson, friggin', Boise gets, like that is terrible.
Well, they set it up for Penn State to get to the semifinal. I mean, Penn State winning SMU, then beating Boise State. I mean, they really set it up. They have the easiest path.
I just don't think they thought it out well, and I think they'll fix it. I mean, Arizona State and Boise State should not have buys and should not be in the second round for their first game. They shouldn't be. They're you can't look at them and say they're, by what they did on the field and the difficulty of their schedule, that they're better than many of those teams that are having to play in the first round. So they'll fix that, though. I mean, I think it's great. We got a playoff, man.
Yeah, I agree.
If it was just, you are right. If we just had the 4 teams again this year, and
Boise State, Arizona State
Right.
wouldn't be in there. You'd have Oregon, Georgia.
Well, you'd have a Boise State. We'd all be saying, well, what the hell? Where's Ohio State got out? I mean, if you just took these 4.
But you know
maybe.
what? Good for Boise State, because Boise State would never have been in this position in the 4 team when they just had 4 teams.
Exactly.
And and remember, you guys all remember the Fiesta Bowl when Boise State knocked off Oklahoma.
Yeah.
No one saw that coming. I mean, this gives someone like a Boise State a chance.
And they did earn the right to compete.
Yeah,
exactly.
They definitely
but
earned
that's
the right
different than earning the right to be listed as one of the top 4 seeds in this thing.
But I'm just glad that they're in. But you're right.
Yeah. And I think they'll fix that, and hopefully they'll add, go up to 14 maybe. But
it's because they want the Smurf turf on national TV.
Oh,
I mean, that's what it is. They want that Smurf turf. I mean,
probably only second to this NIL money thing is the color of the fields needs to be fixed. This is silliness. We've got red fields, and then the team mysteriously wears all
Eastern
red.
Washington has a beautiful faded red, slightly pink field. I mean, it's just gorgeous.
It gives you a headache by the end of the first quarter. You can't stand it. And, it's funny. They claim it's not camouflage, but mysteriously the home team's uniforms take on, from head to toe, the exact same color as the turf.
It's crazy.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway.
Well, I'm going to go around. I'm going to start with Jeff. Just any final thoughts, Jeff?
No, kind of like I said, just praying for victory so we can get back on the winning season. And I'm super curious to see what all rolls out after all the changes in the staff and everything, what this team will be, when we're talking this time next year, what our thoughts are about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll see if Rhule can continue to grow this thing. But, BB?
It'll be an interesting offseason. See what Rhule, bringing in this, assistant head coach situation, what that means, what that looks like. I do have a rumor I'd like to pass.
Oh, yeah, let's have it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Bobcat coach vegan.
Yeah.
I'm hearing some talk, Washington State.
Well, and it would take his kid. I'd love that.
They're talking to him. They're making some.
And they just lost their quarterback. Mateer just left.
Mateer left
for Oklahoma, I believe.
Head coach left. Took a job at. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting. Anyway, yeah, opening at Washington State. It'll be a couple of years, and they're gonna, they're looking at reformulating a version of the Pac-10, Pac-12. So. Anyway, that rumor's out there, so that might be.
I would support that 100%.
As a Grizz fan, that or hire Bobby or hire both of them.
There you go. Someone take Bobby.
But it's a big opportunity for Nebraska to go up, win a bowl game. It's really probably a bigger moment than maybe some people realize. I think if we can end this on a win, that sets us up, I think, better in the recruiting and all of it going forward into next season. And Holgerson's a big plus for Nebraska. I like, when he's talking about Rhule is going to all these meetings and with these recruits and transfers and stuff. That's huge because these kids know he's got huge potential. Next year after, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. If you're a receiver, if you're, you want to be on the receiving end of his passes.
We haven't heard any further fallout from the Iowa game, have we? With the whole unsportsman, it's just some of the ways some of our players.
Oh no! Well, Coach Rhule put that to bed. Yeah, Coach Rhule basically said that's not the team we're going to be. I was unaware of that. It was unfortunate that they chose to express themselves that way because they were upset about the sort of the armed security around the logo, and kind of felt disrespected by that. So but he did a good job.
I only brought that up because of what you said about bringing in new kids. And I thought that made our program look bad at the time.
Right.
At the time. And definitely would have influenced a young man from wanting to come to the Lincoln campus.
Coach Rhule did a good job. I felt putting that to bed. But anything else, Karl?
No, I guess my overall is I'm very frustrated with college football right now because the teams that are playing are not the same teams that started the season. And that's frustrating because that ruins the game. It's and like you said, Nebraska with second most transfers
in the Big
tell me that this is even close to the same team that was out there a month ago. It's not
a lot of changes.
And so that's frustrating. And it takes away from the overall game. And I hope the NCAA does something about it.
I agree. I hope so too. And my thoughts are, it feels like instead of the culmination of the season, the beginning next season has already started. And that's not good long-term, in my opinion, for college football. It should be like everything focused on this bowl game and obviously for the playoffs. And we shouldn't have any of this distraction where really by signing these guys, you're starting your next season already. And that should wait until after.
Yes, it should.
Yeah. But I wanted to say on Foley, I thought he should be gone. But I listened to some stuff and I don't remember what podcast it was on or what news segment it was on that I heard Coach Rhule talking about it. He and Coach Foley are they're very close from what I heard from that.
They share DNA.
They share a close tie from the New York area and stuff and that East Coast area. Yeah.
And that is Rhule's biggest downfall in my opinion.
Foley's not leaving. I think he'll say, hey, fix this, get some other players in here, do this. But what he said was just a couple short things, but the insight I took from that is like, no, they're tight.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It'd be like, I could never fire you.
No, but
I could.
Yeah.
That's why you hire Karl.
Yeah.
To get rid of
Karl.
him.
Yeah.
Then you could be the good guy.
Yeah. But I think that's a situation that we got. So I don't have any other thoughts. I'm just excited for them to get out there and focus on the game and win. And they leave, that's another thing. They leave Monday for the game. They used to go out to bowl games for like a week and a half to 2 weeks. They'd be out there at these bowl games.
Nebraska boys in New York. That's a bad idea.
That's true. Yeah. All right, gentlemen.
Finals just finished this week. Like Nate just got done with his finals yesterday, so they couldn't go out until finals. So.
Well, players have back in the day. Players had other people to take the finals.
Exactly.
Finals.
I'm not taking a final. What are you talking about? I got to play a new bowl game, the Orange Bowl. Hey, anything else, Jeff?
No, go Big Red.
All right,
go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
I hope you guys all have a great holiday.
I did want to say that. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy
Hanukkah to you, Karl.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
All right. Take care.